Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this sun hat. I got this pattern from a woman named Ronda, who I guess also goes by the name The Sparkly One. She has a YouTube channel. I will leave a link to her video, her tutorial for this sun hat with brim, but it's really cool. And one of the things that I love about crocheting is that you always learn new things. There's always something else, about crocheting, the art of crocheting that you can learn. And that definitely happened when I was making this sun hat. I love it, and I think you guys will as well. For those of you, the beginners especially, who may be intimidated by making, such a hat, don't be. It's me, Atreyu, and I'm going to guide you and give you all the detail that you could possibly want and more. So let's get to it. Things you will need include a pair of scissors, a darning, weaving, tapestry needle. You're going to need a stitch marker. You may have one that looks like this, or you may have one that looks like that. If you don't have either, you can use a paper clip, a safety pin, or even yarn of a different color. Okay? You're going to need some 100% cotton yarn. I think you might only need one that's unused, but I like to change colors, and you guys know I'm going to kind of make this pattern a little bit my own with certain deviations. So I'm going to be using two. I'll definitely say if you have two of these balls or cakes, whatever you want to call them, that should be sufficient. And if it's not, I'll let you know once I complete this hat. This is a medium 4 yarn, and it calls for a 5mm US crochet hook. Surprise, surprise, I'm actually going to use the suggested crochet hook size this time. So I'll be using the H 5mm US. I'm going to give my J a rest, the 6mm. You can see I use it a lot because the writing on it is fading. Alright guys, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start out with the magic circle. That is what Rhonda started out with, and that's what we're going to start out with as well. I've already made videos showing you how to do the magic circle. This is another technique that some people, not only beginners, are intimidated by. So if what I do right now is not enough, then check out the link, okay? Alright, so the way you make a magic circle is you use 2 fingers or 3. I'm using 2. Put the tail like that, and then we're going to make an X, cross over like that, and just wrap it on top like that. And you can use this 3rd finger to kind of hold it in place. Then you're going to take your crochet hook. You're going to go under this first one and then over the second one. Okay. And then you're going to hook it on and pull it through like that. And this is what we have. Okay. I know this yarn is kind of dark, but just bear with it. Alright. This tail right here, you can pull a little bit. Okay. But first order of business is to chain 3, okay? So let's get that chain action going on. So you yarn over and go 1. All right, that kind of secures it. 2, and then 3. Okay, so it's 3 chains. Now I'm going to pull this tail, and this is the magic of the magic circle. When you pull, closes the circle. Okay, so now we're going to follow this up with 11 half double crochets in that ring, in that circle. Okay, the way you make a half double crochet is you yarn over, go into the circle. In this case, yarn over, pull through to the front, just like a double crochet. That leaves you with 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. You yarn over and go through everything. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's 1. We have 10 more to make. Yarn over, re-enter, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything. That's 2. Okay, 3, 4. Alright, finish crocheting your half double crochets, and I'll meet you once I get them all made. Alright, so I have crocheted my 11 half double crochets, and If I were going to count that chain 3, I would have a total of 12 stitches. Okay, so now that I've done that, I am going to pull this tail and I'm going to close up the ring. So just grab like that. Alright, so now we're going to see this chain 3 there. We're going to actually put a half double crochet in the second chain up. Okay, so this is chain 3. That's 1. Let me show you. Actually, let me use the green one since this is such a dark color and the blue might just kind of all go together and it'll be harder to see. So hopefully the green will be a little bit easier for you. So this is the first chain, the bottom chain. This is the second chain up right there, and that's the third chain. We're going to go into that second chain there, and that's where we're going to put a half double crochet. Alright, so I'm going to yarn over, go into the second chain up like that, and make my half double crochet. 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything. That's going to start round 2. And now I'm going to use my stitch marker. I'm just going to hook it on the top of that stitch. So round 1 was what we just completed, you guys. In round 1, the pattern was just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We made 11, or if you count the chain 3, 12 stitches, 11 half double crochets. Okay. Round 2, which we just started now, when we crochet that half double crochet, the pattern for round 2 will be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So 2 stitches in every stitch around. Okay. And since we did just put a half double crochet in that chain 3, that means round 1 technically has 12 stitches. So that means if we're putting 2 stitches in each of those 12, then round 2 will have a total of 24 stitches. So we're going to go back into that second chain up where we just went in, and we're going to put another half double crochet in there. So yarn over, go right back in there and make another half double crochet like that. Okay. Now some of you might be wondering, why are we using a stitch marker? Well, we're working in continuous rounds, so we're not going to do any more of the slip stitching and then chaining to get to the next level. We're just going to crochet these half double crochets around and around and around. And when we get to the stitch marker, that lets us know that when we crochet into that stitch that is holding the stitch marker, we're beginning the next round. For every next round, the pattern is going to change. So as I said, round 1, the pattern is just all 1s. For round 2, which is the one we're on now, the pattern will be all 2s. Okay? And I'll talk more about the successive rounds a little bit later. So let me give you one more example. So we're going to go in every stitch around, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets in every stitch. So those 2 half double crochets are in that second chain up there. Okay, right there. So this is the next stitch right there, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets in there. So yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops, yarn over, go through all 3. And then go back in there because every stitch gets 2 stitches in this round. So slice the icing again and then make your half double crochet. Okay, so next stitch gets 2 half double crochets. That's 1. Back in there for 2. Next one, put 1 back in there for 2. Okay. Continue in that fashion, putting 2 half double crochets in every stitch around, and I'll meet you once we get to these stitch markers. See you soon. Alright, so we have one more stitch to crochet into. That's this one. Okay, so it's going to get 2 half double crochets as well. So that's 1. Back in there for 2. So now I have a total of 24 half double crochets in round 2. This stitch marker tells us that we're about to start round 3. So we'll remove it. Okay. And then in that half double crochet there where the stitch marker was, we're going to put 2 half double crochets. However, we're only going to make the first one, and then we're going to put the stitch marker back on, and then we'll put the second one in. So this is the stitch right here where the stitch marker was. We'll put a half double crochet in there, slicing the icing off the top of the cake like that. And even though we have to put another half double crochet in there, we're going to stop and we're going to replace that stitch marker right now because we don't want to accidentally forget to do it and then get lost lose our bearings. Okay, so now yarn over, go back in there and make your second half double crochet. I should mention now, for all of the increased rounds, that first stitch that we crochet into is always going to get 2 half double crochets. Okay, so now we're round 3, and the pattern for round 3 is 2, which is why that first one got 2, and then 1, and then it repeats 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 all the way back around. Okay, so that first stitch got 2. Okay, the next one, slicing the icing off the top of the cake, we'll get a 1. Okay, next stitch, that one gets 2. Yarn over back in there for 2. Next stitch, slicing the icing off the top of the cake, gets 1. I'll show you one more time. Next stitch, pattern repeats, gets 2. Back in there for 2. And then the one thereafter gets 1. Okay, so we're going to continue with that pattern 2 1 2 1 2 1 all the way back around here. And if the pattern is 2 1, then that should tell you that we should end on the 1. That final stitch before the stitch with the stitch marker should get 1 half double crochet. Let's see if we can make it happen. Alright, so we're down to the last 2 stitches, that one and that one, before the stitch marker, and it's time to repeat the pattern so we know that we're on the right track, because that means the penultimate stitch will get 2 and the last stitch will get 1. So let's do it. Back in there for 2, and then the final stitch will get the 1. Okay, as I said, it would end on the 1. Okay, so we're on the right track, you guys. How do you feel? Alright, so that is round 3. We've completed round 3. When we crochet into this stitch that stitch marker is on, we will be beginning round 4. Okay? Alright, so let's take the stitch marker out. Okay? And for round 4, we're going to do 2 half double crochet. Okay? Remember that first stitch is always going to get 2 half double crochet. So let's put it in there. We'll put the first one in there. And then I recommend, before you put the second one in there, replace that stitch marker before you forget. Okay? And then go back in there and put your second one, like that. Alright, so the pattern for round 1 was all 1s. The pattern for round 2 was all 2s, 2 stitches in every stitch. The pattern for round 3 was 2 1. Okay? So 2 half double in one stitch, 1 half double in the next one. The pattern for round 4 is going to be 2 and then 3 1s. Okay, so we're skipping the 2 1 1. We're going to go directly into the 2 1 1 1. Okay, so I put the 2 half double crochets in the first one, and now in the next 3 half double crochets we're going to put 1 half double crochet. So 2 1 1 1. So let's get to making those singles, those 1s. That's 1. Next stitch also gets a 1. Next stitch also gets a 1. Okay, so you see 2 1 1 1. So that stitch has 2, that stitch has 1, that stitch has 1, and that stitch has 1. And now we repeat the pattern. Next stitch gets 2, back in there for 2, and then next stitch gets 1, next stitch gets 1, and the next stitch gets 1. Okay, so just like before, you should end on what? Are you going to end on a 2 or a 1? Yes, you're going to end on that third 1, because the pattern is 2 1 1 1. So you're going to end on that third 1. Okay, so yeah, let's finish this and I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. So I'm almost completely back around, and I see that I'm left with 4 stitches before the stitch marker, which is great. I'm left with that one, that one, that one, and that one. Why is that good? Because the pattern 2, 1, 1, 1 requires 4 stitches. And it allows me to end on the 1. So this will get the 2, that'll get 1, 1, and 1. Alright, let's do it. So this is the 2 back in there, or 2, and then next stitch is 1. Next stitch is 1. And final stitch is 1. Okay. And that is round 4. Round 5 will be the exact same thing, except it's going to be 2 and then 4 ones. So remove your stitch marker, put your 2 half double crochet in that first stitch. So I'll put the first one in there, knowing I have to put the second one, but I'm going to stop, replace the stitch marker before I forget. Alright, and now put the second one in there. We always want to get that stitch marker back in place as soon as possible so we don't lose our place, because it can be very difficult to get your bearings, okay, when you're working in continuous rounds. Alright, so that's 2, and now I said round 5 will be now followed by, the 2 will be followed by 4 ones. So next stitch is 1, and this time I'm going to count to 4. 1 thereafter is 2. 1 thereafter, that one is 3, and then the 1 thereafter that one is 4. Okay, so 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, or 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we repeat. Next stitch gets 2. Back in there for the second one. Next stitch is 1. Next stitch is 1. Next stitch is 1. And one more. Next stitch is 1. Alright. Continue around using that pattern of 2 and 4 ones, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. Alright, so that is round 5. Now we're going to take a break from the increasing, okay? And for the next round, round 6, we're just going to put 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. So remove your stitch marker, make your half double crochet in that same stitch where your stitch marker was, and now replace the stitch marker. But this time, instead of going back in there and putting a second half double crochet, we're just going to go in the next one, because every stitch around will get 1 half double crochet. Okay, this is not an increase round. Round 6 is not an increase round. Okay, so continue putting 1 half double crochet in every stitch around, and I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. Alright, so we're back around to the stitch marker, and now it's time to begin round 7. Round 7, we're going to pick up right where we left off before the non-increase round that we just completed. So round 5 was 2 and then followed by 4 ones. Round 6 was a non-increase, so it's just 1 half double crochet in every stitch. And now round 7 is going to be 2 followed by 5 ones. So I'm going to remove this. And by the way, you might have noticed that it started to curve your work. That's because it was a non-increase round. Okay. So anyway, we'll put our 2 half double crochet in that first half double crochet, but after making the first one, we stop and we replace the stitch marker before we forget. I'm trying to drill that into your head. And now we go back in there and put the second one like that. Okay. And now this one is going to be followed by 5 ones. So I'm going to count up to 5. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, and next stitch, 5. Alright, and then the pattern repeats. 2 in the next one, back in there for 2, and then followed by 5 ones. This time I'm going to count just ones. 1, next stitch, 1, next stitch, 1, next stitch, 1, and next stitch, 1. You can always go back and just check. This one has 2, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now it's time to repeat the pattern. So continue in that manner, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. So we're back at the stitch marker, and now for round 8, it's going to be the pattern of 2 half double crochet. So 2 will go in that stitch where the stitch marker is, and then followed by 6 ones. Okay. By the way, that 5th one in this pattern of round 7 should have ended in the stitch right before the stitch marker. So here's the 2 and then 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're at the stitch marker. Alrighty, let's continue on. So this next stitch will get 2. We'll make the first one, and then we stop and replace the stitch marker. And now we go back in there and put the second one, and then we follow that up by 6 ones, one half double crochet in the next 6 stitches. So 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, next stitch, 5, next stitch, 6. Okay, so this is my 2 right there. Those are the 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the pattern repeats. Next stitch, 2, and then 6 ones. Continue around and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. Alright, so whenever you are making a circle like this for a hat, you want the circle to be big enough to fit the crown of the head of the individual that you're making it for. With these 8 rounds, this circle is sufficient for the head that this is being made for, this hat. However, if you needed it to be bigger, you could continue on with around 9, okay? Which would mean, or I should say, which would have the pattern 2 and then 7 ones. So 2 half double crochet in the first stitch, and then followed by 7 ones, and then it would repeat all the way back around, okay? So if you need this to be bigger, then go ahead, continue with round 9 on your own, and then pick up right now with me after you've completed that with what I'm about to do. Alright, so we're done with these increase rounds. So that should tell you that for the next several rounds, we're only going to be putting 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. Okay, I'm sure, by the way, some of you are probably wondering what the diameter is of this circle. So I will measure this right quick for you. So from one side to the other, it's about a little bit more, just a little bit more than 7 inches, and it's about 18 centimeters. Okay, but as I said, it doesn't really matter. Like, what's most important is how the circle fits the crown of the head of the person that you're making it for. That's the most important thing. As I said in last week's video, I think that's the most universal way of teaching how large to make your circle, especially with beginners, you know, who may have varying degrees of tension. Okay. All right. So the next 10 rounds will be just 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. Okay. So let me show you how I do this. I'm going to take the stitch marker out as I normally do, like this, and then I'm going to put the 1 half double crochet in that stitch, and then I'm going to replace the stitch marker just so I know when the next round begins. And then I'm just going to go around and put 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. But this time, instead of when I get back around to that stitch marker, instead of taking it out and replacing, I'm just going to leave it in there, and I'm going to crochet into the top of that stitch. I'm just going to slice the icing off the top of the cake with the stitch marker still on there, and then I'll be able to easily count how many rounds from that point. Okay, I know that this is, and we're going to start the round number over. This is round 1, so when I crochet in there, that'll be round 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so you can continue moving the stitch marker, but I think it's better if you leave the stitch marker, so you will have marked the first non-increase round, round 1, okay? And then you'll be able to easily count how many rounds you've completed. That's just my suggestion. Feel free to take it or leave it. Alright guys, so get your 10 non-increase rounds made and I will check back in a little bit later. So just wanted to show you something. Okay, so I'm back at the stitch marker and I've crocheted in this stitch, last stitch before I got to the stitch marker. So this right here where the stitch marker is, that's the beginning of round 1 of the non-increase, right? This is the final stitch of round 1 of that non-increase round. So as soon as I crochet into this stitch, I'm beginning round 2. And as I said, you can leave the stitch marker in there. I just want to show you how I do that. So if I give you the aerial view, you see the top of the stitch, right? So we'll just yarn over, act like the stitch marker isn't there, slice the icing off the top of the cake, okay? That with the stitch marker off to the side. Yarn over, pull through like normal 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything to make your half double crochet. And then you can move it over like that. You see that half double crochet is in that stitch with the stitch marker. Just move it over, and now here's the next stitch. And then we'll continue putting 1 half double crochet in every stitch around, okay? So how do you know when you're beginning round 3? Because we're currently on round 2, right? Well, we know that this is round 1, and as soon as we crocheted into that stitch with the stitch marker, which is that one, that began round 2, okay? So when we crochet into this one will begin round 3. Say we're coming around, okay? This stitch is in that one. So this will be our last stitch of round 2. As soon as we crochet into this stitch, which is in that one where the stitch marker is, then we'll be beginning round 3, okay? So you're going to notice that the beginning of each round is going to go at a diagonal to the right, okay? If you were changing colors, you might need to be more mindful of it just to make sure it goes around, or it appears to go all the way around. But since we're staying with this color for now, it doesn't matter. Just notice, pay attention to when the next round begins. And even if you are crocheting, you go on autopilot, crochet several rounds, and then you're like, oh shoot, I didn't, because I haven't been moving my stitch marker, I don't know what round I'm on. You can always start there, know that that's round 1, look at the stitch above it and see which stitch is in it, and okay, that's round 2. The stitch that's going to be in that one will be round 3, and you can count. You can find your way from the stitch marker. So that's why I like leaving the stitch marker there, because I can always figure out what round I'm on, okay? Also, like before, you're going to start to notice that this begins to curve. It's going to be more of a bowl shape because we're no longer doing increase rounds, okay? So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to tell you for now. Just continue crocheting, enjoy, and this is how much of this color I have. If I need more, I have another cake or ball, and I still am going to use this color as well. So I know you guys will be happy when I get to this color because it's much lighter and more visible. So alright guys, I'll check back in a little bit later. Enjoy. Alright you guys, so I haven't quite completed my 10 rounds. I pretty much just started round 9, and I ran out of that partial ball, okay? But I have another one, and I'm going to attach it. So I just wanted to show you that I am continuing, I'm starting a new big ball, okay? Just so you can get an idea of how much yarn it's going to actually take. Let me zoom in and show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to tie a couple of knots. There are multiple ways to attach new yarn, but since it's the same color, I'm just going to attach it like this. I'm going to line them up like that, and then I'm just going to tie a knot. It's just like the easiest way to do it. This yarn, this 100% cotton yarn, tends to split easily, so you just have to be careful with that. But then, yeah, just continue crocheting like normal. Your half double crochets around, okay? And when it gets to this part, you can grab the yarn in such a way so that it remains on the inside, and then you can weave those in later, cut them down later. You can even try to crochet over them. For instance, they're laying there, and I'm like They're just telling me crochet over me right now. So I'm going to crochet my half double crochets over them like that, just so I don't have to weave them in, those tails in later. I hate weaving in tails, as you guys probably know. Okay, I'll do one more to try to get almost all of it. Yeah, and now that's that. And you never know that I even changed yarn. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to complete my 10 rounds and then I'll check back in. Just wanted to show you that. See you there. Alright, so I have completed my 10 rounds and I just want to show you, here's the stitch marker right there. Okay, so that's the first round. Second, because that stitch is in that one. Third, notice how it's going at a diagonal. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. Okay, so to crochet in this next stitch, that would be starting the 11th round. So I'm going to take out the stitch marker now, and then I'm going to put it on the last stitch of round 10, which is there. Alright, so now I'm going to start out with one slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. So here's the next stitch. I'm going to slice the icing off the top of the cake without yarning over. I'm going to yarn over now and pull it all the way through. That's one slip stitch. And in the next stitch, I'm going to slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, and pull all the way through for the second slip stitch. So these two, those are slip stitches. 1 and 2. Alright, now for every other stitch around, we're going to be working in between the stitches, okay? So the slip stitch is in this stitch, it's in that one. So now we're going to be working in between the stitches, so we're going to go there. If it's hard to see or imagine where I'm going, just look at the tops. So I've crocheted into that one, so this is the next top, but for every stitch around at this point we're going to be slicing into the body of the cake, which is in between the stitches. And we're going to be continuing to make slip stitches, but they're going to be in between the stitches. We're no longer slicing the icing. So let me show you what I mean. Here's the next top, but we're slicing the body now. So I'm going to go in between that stitch and that one, like that. Okay. And I'm going to yarn over, pull all the way through, and slip stitch. Now I'm going to go to the next stitch. Go in between that one, in there, and slip stitch. And now in between that one and that one, so I go in there, yarn over, and slip stitch. And you're going to see it's going to create this very cool braid effect. I think Ronda called it the flat stitch or flat chain. This was something new that I had learned from watching her tutorial. I'd never done that. Well, I have done it. That's not true. I've done it, but I've never done it in this context. So it's just really cool. So basically, we're prepping this hat to start the brim. Okay. So you're just gonna go around in between the stitches, slicing the cake itself, making slip stitches. Okay. And I will meet you once I get back around here to the stitch marker. I'll see you there. So I've made a slip stitch in this last stitch before the stitch marker. Okay. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker for a moment, and I'm going to slip stitch into the cake where the stitch marker was, still in between the 2 half double crochets, like that. And now on that flat chain that I just made, I'm going to put the stitch marker on there to mark that stitch, so I still know where the beginning is. It's just on that chain there. Okay. Alright, so now you guys, what I'm going to do is I am going to go, so you see these next 3, those are the flat chains, right? So I'm going to go behind them basically and still slip stitch. So here's the first one. When I say go behind, this is what I mean. This is the flat chain. That's the way that that's where my crochet hook is going to go. It's going to pick up that chain. Okay, so getting behind the flat chain, almost like slicing the icing off the top of the cake. right? Except it's a flat chain, and I'm gonna slip stitch. So one, I'm gonna do it again. Go under this flat chain. So you want to just go just behind it. Okay. Just behind it. And slip stitch. 2, and then one more. Just behind it. And slip stitch for 3, like that. Okay, so now we're going to actually start the brim. We were just trying to basically level it out with that line of braid, okay? So since technically we're starting the brim, we're going to remove the stitch marker from there, and we're going to put it on the stitch that we're about to make, because that's going to be the new beginning for this round, okay? So we're still working under the braids, okay, using those chains, getting behind it like that. And the pattern for this round will be 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and now I'm going to stop and replace the stitch marker on that stitch. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch or braid, and it's in that one. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that single crochet is in that braid. And so the next braid is here. We're going to put 2 single crochet in that one. Okay, so 1 in that, and then go to the next chain or braid and put 2 single crochet. I don't know why I yarned over habit. 2 single crochet, just make sure you don't split your yarn. So 1 back in there for 2. Okay, now the next one once again. And make sure you're working behind the braid, okay? We're not working on top. We're working with this braid that's going along this way, right? Okay. So next one, get that chain right there. See how that braid is different from the tops of these stitches there, okay? Anyway, so put 1 single crochet in there, and then the next braid, we'll get 2, or the next chain, whatever you want to call it. So go back in there for 2. So this is obviously an increase round. So just continue in that fashion, putting 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And hopefully you didn't make your braid too tight. So 1 single crochet, the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the one thereafter. So 1, and then back in there for 2. I'll see you once I get back around there. So we just finished round 1 of the brim, so we're starting the round number over. Okay, this is the 3rd and final time that we're going to be doing that. So we just completed round 1. We're back at the stitch marker. We are going to remove it, and for round 2 we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Okay, so here's the next stitch. We just put a single crochet. We will replace the stitch marker right away, and then every stitch around it's just going to get 1 single crochet like that. Okay, that's easy enough. I will see you once I get back around here. So I just completed round 2, which is a round of single crochet. So now we are going to do another round of just 1 single crochet, so another non-increase round, 1 single crochet, 1 stitch in every stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go into there, make my single crochet, and then I'm going to replace the stitch marker, and I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing. Okay, so round 3 is a round of just single crochet, 1 single crochet in every stitch around. I'll meet you when I get back around to the stitch marker. Okay, it's time to start round 4. I'm back around to the stitch marker, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and in round 4 we will be making 2 single crochet in the first stitch. So this very first stitch we'll get 2 single crochets, so I'm going to go in there and put my first one. I'm going to stop as always, replace the stitch marker, and then I'm going to go back in there and put a second single crochet, and then I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1 next stitch, 2 next stitch, 3 next stitch, 4 next stitch, 5 next stitch, 6 next stitch, 7. Alright, so the pattern is 2 and then 7. Now to repeat the pattern, and the next stitch gets 2 single crochet back in there for 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you start the pattern again. Okay, so this is an increase round. Round 4 is an increase round. I'll meet you once I get back to the stitch marker, but I'm just going to tell you round 5 will be the same thing, except the pattern will be 2, 10. So we'll put 2 stitches in the first stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next 10, but I'll see you there. Alright, so I am almost done with round 4, and I already noticed that it's not going to end on the 7th single crochet, like you would expect. And I noticed this when I made this pattern, when I followed this pattern, her pattern before, but I just improvised. It's not a big deal. So right now I did 2 single crochet followed by 7. Okay, so I'm going to repeat. So the next stitch will get 2 single crochet, 1 back in there for 2. Okay, and then I see that I only have 2 more stitches, so I'm just going to follow the pattern through those 2 stitches. So the next stitch gets 1 single crochet, and the final stitch gets 1 single crochet. Okay. Ideally, it should end on the 7, but it doesn't always work out like that when people write patterns. So you just improvise and you just follow the pattern, and when you get back to start the next round, you start the next round as if though it did end on the 7 in this case. Okay. All right. So I'll take the stitch marker out. I will put a single crochet in the first stitch. I'll replace the stitch marker, and then I already told you that the pattern for this round, round 5, will be 2, 2, and 10. So I'm going to go back in there and put a single crochet, and then I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the next 10. So that's 1, next one, 2, next one, 3, next one, 4, next one, 5 more, next one, 6, next one, 7, next one, 8, next one, 9, next one, 10. Okay, so that's my 2 and then 10, and then the pattern repeats. 2 in the next one. Okay, back in there for 2, and then start your 10. Just carry out the pattern through all the stitches until you get the stitch marker, and then you'll start the next round. Alright, so this one actually ended on the 10, so I got my 2 there, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm at the stitch marker. Alright, so now I am going to take out the stitch marker, and I am going to make a single crochet, but I'm going to start it and I'm going to change colors. So I'm going to go in there like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my other color and I'm going to hook it on like that, pull through. Okay, and pull all the way through like that, and then I'm going to pull on the darker blue, and I'm going to tie a couple of knots. So making sure the darker blue disappears, and then tie a couple of knots. 1 and then 2. Okay, and in that same stitch I'm just going to go in and make a single crochet. So go in, yarn over, pull through to the front, and make a single crochet. Alright, so the pattern for this round changes it up a little bit. So instead of putting 2 single crochet in the first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet in the first 13 stitches and then 2 single crochet in that 14th stitch. Alright, a couple of things going on here. You can crochet over these tails if you want. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take that single crochet out. I'm going to lay these tails on top, and you can cut them down too, because they don't really need to be that long. Oh yeah, you got to cut the dark blue yarn because you're no longer working with it. So just take it. I like to have them be a comparable length. Alright, so lay them on top like that, and then we'll crochet over it. So now I'll go back in there like I did before, crocheting over the tails this time, making my single crochet like that. I'm also going to replace the stitch marker. Obviously I know where this round begins, round 6, because it's in a different color, but we're just going to continue with the same practice of putting the stitch marker on. Okay. Alright, and now I said the first 13 stitches will be single crochet, so no increase for now. So that's 1, next one, 2, next one, 3, still crocheting over the tails, 4, next one, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then in the next stitch, that's the one that's going to get the 2. So 1 back in there for 2, that 14th stitch. And then we'll repeat that. So it'll be 13 more single crochets, 1 in the next 13, and then the one thereafter will be 2. Okay, continue in that fashion, and I'll meet you once we get back around to the stitch marker. Alright, I just put the 2 in the 1 stitch, and now it's time to do another 13, but I already see I don't have enough stitches. I'm not worried about it. I just continue making my single crochet, 1 in every stitch until I run out of stitches. That is to say, until I get to my stitch marker. Okay, so sometimes you just gotta improvise, you guys. Alright, one more. Right there. Alright, so now I'm going to take out my stitch marker. And the next round, round 7, will just be 1 single crochet, 1 stitch in every stitch around. So it's a non-increase round. So I'll slice the icing off the top of the single crochet like normal and make my single crochet. And then I'll replace the stitch marker immediately, as always. Alright, and then, yeah, just 1 single crochet in every stitch around. I'll meet you once we get back to the stitch marker. See you there. Alright, so I just completed round 7, which was a non-increase round. So that means that I put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And now I'm about to begin round 8. So the pattern for round 8 is 215. Now I want to mention something. Notice in round 6, the pattern was 13-2. That meant that we put 13 single crochets, 1 in the first 13 stitches, and then we increased on that 14th stitch by putting 2 single crochets into the 14th stitch, and we repeated that pattern. Now you'll notice back in round 8 we're going back to the way we used to do it. We were doing it before, where we start the pattern with the increase, where we put the 2 single crochet in the first stitch and then put the consecutive how many ever single crochets. Okay, in this case for round 8, it's 1 single crochet in the next 15. Okay, either that's a typo or she did it intentionally. The sparkly one, Ronda, she did it intentionally to kind of change up where the increases happen, to kind of, I don't know, kind of spread them out so that it's not so protruding in like one area of the hat. That would be my logic behind it, but as I said, I'm not sure. I noticed in the rest of her pattern, when it's an increase round, she's going to, from here on out, do it like what we're about to do now in the 8th round, starting with the increase and then the consecutive single crochets in the next how many ever stitches. So that's just something I wanted to point out. Alright, so starting round 8, as I said, we're going to put the 2 in the first one, so 2 single crochet. So I'll put 1, but then I'm going to stop and replace my stitch marker. Okay, you guys are going to always remember to do that. after watching this video, and then I'll go back in there and put my second one. Okay. And now for round 8, as I said, it's 2 15, so that means we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 15 stitches. That's 1 next stitch, 2 next stitch, 3 next stitch, 4 next stitch, 5 next stitch, 6 next stitch, 7 next stitch, 8 next stitch, 9 next stitch, 10 next stitch, 11 next stitch, 12 next stitch, 13 next stitch, 14 next stitch, 15. Okay, so that's the pattern. 2 here followed by 15, 1 single crochet in the next 15, and now we repeat the pattern back in there for 2. Okay, and then we go with the 15. So continue in that fashion. I'll meet you back around at the stitch marker. So I'm almost done with this round. I've done my 2, and then I've done 10 single crochet. Okay, so this would be 11 and then 12. Okay, and that takes me to the stitch marker. As I said, when there are not enough stitches to complete the pattern, just stop where you're at. Okay, so for this last one it was 2 and then 12, and that's fine. Okay, now I'm moving on to round 9, so I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and round 9 is a non-increase round as well, so it's just 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So I'm going to put my single crochet in this first stitch, and then I'm going to replace the stitch marker, and now I'm just going to continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch around for round 9. Okay, like that. I'll see you once I get back to the stitch marker. So round 9 is now complete. That's a non-increase round, so we'll take the stitch marker out and we'll begin round 10. So we'll put a single crochet in the first stitch. The pattern for round 10 is 2 18 this time. Okay, so I made the single crochet. I'm going to replace the stitch marker. Then I'm going to go back in there and put the second single crochet. Okay, so the first stitch gets 2, and I'm going to follow that up with 1 single crochet in the next 18. 1, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, next stitch, 5, next stitch, 6, next stitch, 7, next stitch, 8, next stitch, 9, next stitch, 10, next stitch, 11, next stitch, 12, next stitch, 13, next stitch, 14, next stitch, 15, next stitch, 16, next stitch, 17, next stitch, 18. Okay, 2, 18, and now the pattern repeats. 2 go into that stitch, and then we follow it with 18 again. Continue in that fashion, and I'll meet you around back here. I'm almost done with round 10. I've crocheted the 2 and 14. Here's the 15 and the 16. So I'm 2 stitches shy, but it's okay. Remove the stitch marker and start round 11. Okay. I didn't write this pattern, so I can't control that. We're just going to go with it, and it's not really a big deal anyway. Okay. Alright, so we'll put the first single crochet to the first stitch, and we'll replace our stitch marker. And round 11 is a non-increase round, so we're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Okay. I'll meet you once I get back to the stitch marker. Alright, so we have 2 more rounds. Round 12, which is the round that we're starting, is going to be another increase round where we will use the pattern 2 18. So 2 single crochet will go in the first stitch, and then it'll be followed by 1 single crochet in the next 18. I've already showed you how to do that, so I'm not going to do it again, but I will show you this part. I'm going to change colors. I want to go back to the navy blue. Okay, so I'll show you that, and yeah, you've seen me change colors before, but I think that you could always benefit from seeing it again. So take your yarn, put it on the hook, okay, and then you'll pull the light blue so that that loop right there disappears, like that, okay, And obviously you want to get your loop on your hook right, so pull that. Alright, once the loop disappears and the loop on your hook are sufficient, then you can tie a couple of knots with the tail of the new color with the former color. 1 and then 2. Okay, I like to, as I said before, line them up and then cut them of comparable length. Alright, and now we can start round 12, which once again uses the pattern 216. Once again, I'm going to crochet over these tails so that I don't have to weave them in later. So I'm going to go in that first stitch and make my single crochet, crocheting over those 2 tails you see. Alright, and then I'm going to stop as always and place my stitch marker. Of course, because I changed colors, it's obvious where this round begins, but it's not always obvious if you don't change colors. Alright, and now I'm going to go back in there and put my second single crochet, right? Because the first one gets 2. And then it'll be followed up by the 18 single crochets. So that's 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3. I'm not going to show you all of this, I just want to crochet over these tails. Next stitch, 4, next stitch, 5, 6, okay? And if any part of the tail protrudes out, you can always cut it down, but that's pretty clean. Alright, complete this round with the pattern 218 and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. See you soon. So I'm almost done. I'm on the last repeat, so the next stitch gets 2 single crochet back in there for 2. And then we obviously don't have 18 here, but we'll use how many ever we have. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, and final stitch, 5. Okay? Alright, so now we will take out our stitch marker. We're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the row, like that. And then we'll put our stitch marker there. We're also going to slip stitch into the next stitch over. So this one, we're also going to slip stitch into, so we'll slice the icing again off the top of the cake and slip stitch. Alright, and now you guys, we're going to go down to the light blue row and we're going to start doing that flat braid, the flat slip stitch, okay? So those are those 2, so this is the next one, right? So we're going to go down, so we'll make our loop a little bit bigger than normal so it can reach down here, and then we'll slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, all the way through like that. And now we're going to start going in between these stitches. So let me see if I can zoom in anymore. That's it. Okay. So go in between. So we're cutting the cake now. We're not slicing the icing. We're slicing the cake now. Remember? So go in between the bodies of those stitches and just slip stitching. So slice the body, slip stitch, 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 slice the body, slip stitch. Okay, like that. Slice the body, slip stitch, 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 slice the body, slip stitch. Okay, and it's going to create that nice beautiful braid there. Okay, so continue in that fashion and I'll meet you once I get back around to the stitch marker. So I'm almost back around, just got a few more stitches. So slice the body, slip stitch, slice the body, slip stitch. Alright, and slice the body, slip stitch. Okay, so now we're at the stitch marker, so we'll remove it and we don't need to replace it again. I know you guys are happy about that. Alright, so for this part you don't have to be super precise, but I want to slice the body over. I'm going to keep going that way so I can get to these slip stitches. Remember at the beginning I started up and then I went down. I'm not going to go back up, I'm just going to go straight across, so get in where you can get in, going straight across, continuing across, and slip stitch. Just, yeah, like that. And then we're going to go into that first slip stitch there and make a slip stitch, okay? Like that. As I said, it does not have to be precise, guys. Please don't stress out if you don't do it exactly the way I did. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn. And you can leave a little bit so you can have enough to weave in. And we'll pull through like that. Okay? And now you guys, on the other side, on the inside, we're going to bring that in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this through, get it onto my darning weaving tapestry needle. Alright, try to do it without splitting, and then bring it to the inside, okay, like that, and then just go through a nearby loop, go through, and then we're going to pull that through the loop to create a knot, like that. And then you can weave this in. So I'm going to change weaving darning tapestry needle, just so you can more clearly see it. Change it to green, okay? And then, yeah, I've tied the knot. Now I'm just gonna go through some stitches in one direction, weaving through the same color stitches. And then I'm gonna go back in the other direction, taking a slightly different path, crossing the middle point and going to the other side through some stitches. That, and then I'm going to take it back to the center, taking a slightly different path, as always, like that. And now I'm going to tie one more knot, so I'm going to make another loop. So I'll go in through nearby stitch, and I'm just going to grab that and bring it through the loop, and that creates a knot. And then you can cut that down, and this will serve as your tag, so you always know where the back of the sun hat is, okay? And yeah, this is what you guys will have. Let me zoom out so you can see. It's really cool. So yeah, I would like to thank the Sparkly One Ronda for providing us with this awesome tutorial. I deviated from it a few times, but it's basically, it's basically what she created for us. And yeah, it's beautiful, and I love the colors of this one. I would say I still am not like exactly sure how much yarn is needed. So this is how much of the light blue I have. You guys know that I already used the initial, the smaller, the already used ball of the navy blue, and then I had to start using this one. By the way, in this pack for a new one, it's like, so this is like a net weight of 4 ounces and 113 grams. It's 190 yards or 174 meters. That's how much is in one of these, okay, balls. So I would say that you probably need 2. I don't remember, what the yardage was, or how many meters was in the ball that Ronda used, but obviously you're definitely going to need 2 if you're using different colors, which I highly recommend, because isn't that so cool? But I love this braid effect, and yeah, I think this is really cool. So I really hope you guys try this out. I really hope, especially you beginners, you don't look at it and say, oh, this is too difficult to make. No, you can make it, and especially with my video, because I take my time and I give a lot of detail, and I try to see things from your perspective. I try to answer questions that I think you will have, just so you have everything that you need when it comes to actually making this, okay? Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video, but I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting. And as a bonus, for those of you who have watched the video to the end, I did, before I made this one, I made another one using, you guys remember the stripes granny square yarn, where it's supposed to change colors in exactly the right place so you don't have to. Well, you guys, I told you I got that yarn because one, I wanted to try that out, but also because I actually love the colorway. So I decided to make a hat using it, and this is what I came up with. So this initial color, that was the lilac that I had already been using, but it went well with this colorway because there's that lilac, or a color very similar to it. So this is what you get. It's a little bit stiffer, which you might want to, go with when you use like a Bernat sort of yarn, something that's not 100% cotton. Um, and yeah, this is what it's gonna look like with a nice brim. This is the back, right? It's the front. It's the brim, and yeah, those stripes. This colorway is just so amazing. I just really love it. So yeah, you could use a yarn that's not 100% cotton, and you would get something like this. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for staying to the end. Now I really will see you later in the next one. By the way, let me know if you saw the second hat, so I know whether or not you actually watched to the end.